to another installment of HFK Presents 5 Minutes of History. I'm your host, Terry Lynch. On our last installment, we discussed Thomas Jefferson and the Louisiana Purchase. I am so excited because today we are going to talk to Thomas Jefferson's friend and neighbor, the commander of the Corps of Discovery, none other than Meriwether Lewis himself. So without further ado, Commander Lewis, can you tell us a little bit about the journey? Thank you very much, Terrence. I'd love to tell you about the journey. You see, it was a fascinating trip of over 28 months. It covered over 4,000 miles, and we were welcomed in by over 40 different tribes of Native Americans. It was a fascinating time. We enjoyed the trip and had many points where we almost were lost. But for the help of our dear guide, Sacagawea, who was the only woman along with us on the journey, we would have been lost several times over. As a matter of fact, at one point, we were almost going down the wrong river and lost sight of the great Missouri River, the Big Muddy that we were traveling on. Lucky for us, we found the right route and made it through the Great Falls area and across the Rocky Mountains, only to return the next year. On the return trip, I must tell you, something happened. You see, we split up into two parties. Myself and 6 members went up the rivers that we thought were part of the Big Muddy, and the other part of the journey went down through Yellowstone itself. We had planned to meet back up, and only days before this was to occur, something happened to me. I had told you before how we hadn't lost anyone on the journey outside of Sergeant Floyd, but we almost lost me. You see, I was out hunting for elk along with one of the other partners of the journey, a French-Canadian fur trapper by the name of Pierre Cruzat. He was a one-eyed fiddle player who was very highly enjoyable on the journey himself. Well, Cruzat and I were out hunting, and we were further away from each other when Cruzat fired a round from his rifle. Unbeknownst to me, I thought it was Indians attacking. I felt a sharp sting and returned to the boat, warning the other members that perhaps we were under attack by hostile natives who were upset with us, only to be told, as Cruzat came out of the woods, that it wasn't hostile Indians, but it was my one-eyed fiddle player who had accidentally shot me because he thought I was an elk. Where he shot me? Right on the back side, on the upper flank of my posterior, so to say. I spent the next 3 weeks of the journey lying on my stomach while my wounds were nursed by the Corps of Discovery expedition. You see, modesty was left back in civilization during this journey. We forgave Cruzat, understanding that it could be easy to mistake me because of the attire that I had on, and Cruzat, being blind in one eye, had trouble with distances, although it never kept him from firing on other animals. He was one of my best hunters along the journey. Well, we eventually made our way back to St. Louis, and we were welcomed in gratefully after many thought we had died. I'd love to tell you more about the journey itself. I feel I could go on for hours. You see, I've written over 14 volumes of diaries on the entire journey itself. So if I could, I'd love to come back another time and tell you more about the journey. Oh my goodness, that was fascinating, Commander. I'd love to have you back for more of the stories of the Corps of Discovery. Well, I'm seeing it's just about time for trivia. Our question today is, what was Commander Meriwether Lewis's favorite meal during the Corps of Discovery? Commander, would you like to answer this one? Oh, this is a wonderful one. It's an easy question to answer. My favorite meal was white pudding made by Toussaint Charbonneau. Not a pudding like you're used to these days. No, it's made out of the intestines of an animal with ground up meats and berries and nuts, all fashioned in as a sausage. Those meats, why, they'd be brain, liver, tongue, eye, all the tastiest parts. It would then be fried up in a pan of bear grease. That was my favorite meal. Wow, that sounds like a really tasty meal. Well, we are just about out of time, folks. So I'll remind you, you can always find us on Facebook. So join us there. And if you want to know when our next episode is going to occur, check us out on our websites, www.hfkpresents.com or www.historiesforkids.com. We have links to these webcasts along with our blogs. And remember, send us a question so I can answer it on one of the future episodes. Speaking of future episodes, our next installment is going to have to do with a book my wife and I are writing called Mistakes Happen, an historical guide to overcoming adversity, which will be available in the fall. Until next time, this is Terry Lynch reminding you, watch out, history happens when you least expect it.